get all of the things started in all of the places, make sure that it's posted on social media, and we're going to kick off here in just a minute or three.
Welcome to ClickHouse webinar, as usual. Welcome, Alon. Nice to see you again and again. Nice to see you, Anton. Ashish, nice to see you. Harat, I'm happy to see you again. Dan, Evgeny, Hadar, Joe, Larry, Lua. I'm so happy. So many interesting contributions we have from you. Probably not on this webinar, but on the previous or on the next. Hi, Nikolai, Radhavendra, hi. Ramazan Palat, I'm so happy to see you. Stefan, Todd, Valery, so many nice people. We will start maybe in 1 or 2 minutes.
So while Alexei gets ready to start, just a couple of quick housekeeping items. If you're watching us on YouTube, the chat is probably, unless you have it in TV mode, next to the video itself. Please feel free to use it. Mark and I are keeping an eye on chat there, and of course, if you're on the Zoom itself, please feel free to type in chat, to use the Q&A feature. We try to leave time at the end. As always, we do so much in a month that sometimes the time can get a bit tight, but we do try to leave time at the end for questions and answers. So please feel free to use that as you see fit. And for those of you who are pressing the heart button on YouTube stream, I'm going to click it right now and give you a heart back. Welcome. We are so glad that you are here. Alexei, please, at your leisure, my friend, feel free to take it away.
And we still have about 30 seconds to invite your friends on YouTube to listen our event. You can ask questions. Thank you for the link. You can ask questions on YouTube, in Zoom, in the chat. You don't have to raise your hand, just type your questions. We will be happy to collect them, and the best question will get some gifts from us, like a ClickHouse t-shirt. Not like this t-shirt. This is just too good, too exclusive, too nice. I will keep it for myself. You will not get it, but who knows? It depends on your questions. Maybe. Okay, should we start? Let me share my presentation. So this is ClickHouse release 24.4, the April's release. We have a lot of new features, and possibly we will also have like 5 minutes for your questions to answer live. So 13 new features, 16 performance optimizations, and 65 bug fixes. This is our spring release, so you will also see a lot of nice photos that I took by myself. So let's start with uninteresting and uninspiring stuff. What is the most uninteresting things that we have, but still above the threshold to highlight? The first one is the ability to drop multiple tables in a single command. So if you have 2 tables, hello and world, just list them and it will work. If you have 3 tables, no problem, hello, little Bobby, it will also work. You can specify a database as usual, so it's pretty uninteresting, right? Another uninteresting feature is unloading primary keys. So we have a new system command. System unload primary key. It works in a scenario when you have a table that is rarely being queried. But as you know, primary keys have to be loaded in memory. And if you access a table at least once, the primary key will be loaded. With this system command, you can simply free up the space in memory required for the table's primary key. And typically, I expect you will not need this feature because primary keys are small. But some of our customers run ClickHouse with many petabytes of compressed data and 10 to hundreds petabytes of uncompressed data, and this is not even the maximum. They need this feature, so we implemented it. Another interesting feature, new virtual columns. By the way, Tyler, could you please check in Zoom how I can remove this message that someone raised a hand? I want to remove this message. Okay, new virtual columns in merge tree. Among with the columns you define in your table definition, you also get some columns for free, like underscore part, underscore partition, underscore ID. These are technical data that you can use to introspect your tables. And now we have 3 more columns with special behavior: block offset, block number, and part data version. Each of them with underscore before the name. And the behavior of these columns depends on if you enable their materialization. To enable materialization, there are 2 settings: enable block number column and enable block offset column. Regardless of these settings, these columns will still be available, but let me show you what is the difference. Let me show you the demo. I like to give demos. So I will run the server. It is already run in another terminal. So here is my server. And let me run the client. So you will see it like this. By the way, I can type ClickHouse client. I can also type CHC. It is just a shortcut. I can also write CH, but it is a different shortcut. I will use CHC for ClickHouse client. And I have a table named hits with almost 100 million records for testing. Let me show the structure. I can write show create table like in MySQL, or just show table. It is the same. So it's quite a wide table with a lot of columns and a large primary key. Let me create another table that will be different only in these settings. We will just enable these 2 columns. Good, the table already exists. I prepared for this webinar and already created this table. I should also fill it with the data, but as I already created it, I already have the data. But I just want to run the insert again. Run Kate. table hits 2. And just in case, I will run the insert again. By the way, what do you think? How long the insert will take for 100 million records? I will just do insert select. What do you think? How fast it will run? Mark, your opinion.
I think 2 seconds.
Okay.
We've got less than 1 second and 3 seconds are other guesses.
This will be actually pretty nice because we have 100 million records and around 100 columns. Any other hypotheses, opinions? You still have a chance to win something. And I will run it.
20 milliseconds.
Oh, it's not 20 milliseconds. It was not 2 seconds. It is unfortunately more than 3 seconds, but let's keep the chances open. Probably 10, 15.
42 seconds.
How many?
42.
22? We will see. By the way, it also depends on the machine. I have not the most powerful machine in the world.
Ooh, 46.
46. What a shame. But nevertheless, this is not what I wanted to show you. 2.16 million rows per second, it is very nice. And 1.32 gigabytes per second, it is a decent performance. Not the performance I could dream of, but still quite good. What I want to show you is how the columns behave, how the new virtual columns behave. So first, let's take a look at the old table hits without materialization of this block offset and block number column. And I will also group by underscore part to count the number of records in each part and the range of values of block offsets. Okay, I have 3 data parts, and the underscore block number column just returns me the minimum block number in each part. And here is the number of records, and the block offset is also quite trivial. It spans from 0 to the maximum. Okay, what will be the difference if I will use my new table with these columns explicitly enabled? That's interesting. I have a few data parts like 1, 2, 3, 4, slightly more because this insert was just run. But for each data part, I have multiple block numbers spanning from minimum to the maximum. And the magic is that this column remembered the original block numbers. Regardless of how the data will be merged, this block number and block offset persisted as in the original data. So the only question for you is, why do we need it? Why do you need it? How you could possibly benefit from it? And first, let me ask Mark. Mark, would you like to use this feature?
Would I? I don't know what to use it for. What is it? Is it for debugging of some sort? But I don't know what.
Good answer. Yes, this feature is inside the category of uninteresting features, but it is not just for debugging.
Hmm.
It is
Someone says we can use it in a neighbor function.
maybe, but I did not have so deep imagination to question how it will work inside the neighbor function, but it's a good answer.
Here's another one, Joe Redfern, for checking whether a queued mutation has executed against the returned rows.
Almost correct. So let me give you the final answer. This feature is just a small step towards implementation of lightweight updates. So quite soon, we will have to be able to run updates on a table with a high frequency. And we will use these columns to actually, yes, you are right, to filter data related to the past mutations. And this column part data version will also be used directly for that. Okay. So who is the winner? John? I forgot.
Joe, yeah, I guess Joe's the closest.
Okay, good. We will have something for you. Okay, another and probably the last uninspiring feature is a small extension for completeness of the function date trunk. Now it supports sub-second units like milliseconds, microseconds, nanoseconds, and it does what it's supposed to do. It just truncates the date with higher resolution to the lower resolution. I don't know why I should highlight this feature, but for some reason it received the most reactions. And I don't know why. I just found it amusing. So here it is, date trunk for sub-second units. If you know why it had so many reactions, please share your opinion. It will be interesting to know. Okay, boring security features. What is related to security is always boring. Unless you have security incident, then it is not boring. So we need security features to keep everything boring. The first one is the ability to grant table engines to users explicitly. For example, you create a user named Vasya, and you might want to only allow creating tables of the engine TinyLog. It is easy. If you want to do it without restrictions, just grant table engine on star. Just in case this possibility is not enabled by default, to remain compatible with the previous version, you enable it explicitly in the configuration file in the section Access Control Improvements. So it will be granular and you can enable only table engines that you want. Another feature, the possibility to set roles in HTTP interface. We already have queries like set role. You can specify a single role or multiple roles. And it is easy to just connect with ClickHouse client, select your role, and run your query. But it was not available in the HTTP interface without sessions, because it can run only a single query. And you want specify your roles directly along with this query. And now it is easy. Just do it like this. using URL parameters. And another boring security feature is related to boring SSL. Boring SSL is a library for implementation of TLS encryption and also cryptographics like hash functions, encryption functions, digital signatures, everything. It's quite big. And there are 3 alternative libraries with the same interface: OpenSSL, LibreSSL, and Boring SSL. And the history is like this. In the year 2016, we started with Boring SSL. Then something weird happens, and we migrated to LibreSSL because it was better. But then something was improved, and we migrated to OpenSSL again. Then we decided that it is not good enough, and we migrated to Boring SSL from Google, and it lasted for 4 years. Today, we are migrating to OpenSSL back. It is quite confusing. And my question is, for what? Why do we change these SSL libraries over years? Mark, sorry, I will ask you.
I don't know. We have answers though. Stefan says OS licenses. Eugene says FIPS compatibility.
Okay, maybe boring SSL is just too boring, so we changed it. But first was about open source licenses. No, this is not the correct answer, because each of these libraries have a decent license. There are multiple reasons, including completeness of features support, like LibreSSL did not support TLS 1.3 initially, or even before. It had some problems with build system. It has to be extracted from OpenBSD. OpenSSL had Heartbleed, then it had sanitizer issues, then it had difficulties with cross-compilation and their build system. Boring SSL is pretty nice, but the downside is it has less compatibility with OpenSSL, and some of new libraries like Azure require these obscure features. And that's why we are migrating to OpenSSL, despite the fact that it has a more complex build system. It is slightly less for cross-compilation, but we solved all these problems. It has also the more recent version certified by FIPS 142, so it could be possibly one of the reasons. Okay, what about usability? User experience, developer experience. You know that ClickHouse is such a nice system. Everything works. Everything works out of the box. And ClickHouse is a pleasure to work with. And we go even further. So one of the improvement is better syntax highlighting in the client. Let me show you some demo. And it will be difficult to notice because you get used to it very quickly. I already get used to the better syntax highlighting. So this is the better syntax highlighting, and I will have to compare with the previous version. How did the previous version look? I will run it like this, and it looks like this. So I can write a query it has syntax highlighting, and it is pretty decent. Numbers are highlighted, operators, strings, functions. It works. It works, but I want better. So let's return to the latest version. And in the latest version, it works like this. Here is the difference. So not just numbers and strings are highlighted, but also everything is semantically highlighted. For example, if I write like this, it will show me that in this context, from FD is probably parsed as an alias, but then I have an error. And after this error, nothing else is being parsed. And I like how it works because when the query is correct, it just clicks. You can see it clicks like this. I type select and magic. I can write anything I want. For example, cluster all replicas. And so far, it parsed cluster all replicas as a column identifier. Then it is searching for the closing bracket, but didn't find it. But when I type this, I know my query will at least be parsed correctly. So it is my favorite feature. Just amazing. I don't know why I am so excited about this feature, but I hope you will be too. Okay. Structured arguments in the system text log table. I will also have to demonstrate this feature. It is interesting to show live. Let me run ClickHouse server. And let me show how the text log table looks like. If you did not know, system.textlog table contains server logs. There is even a documentation. It contains logging entries, which are normally written to a log file or std out. I mean this. It will contain this. But it has a lot of interesting details. For example, the column message will contain the original message, but another column, message format string, will contain the pattern used to format this message. Let me show it to you. What are the top message types in my system log from my machine? Reading, some number of marks from part something, total something, starting from the beginning of the part, whatever, 30,000 records, a debug level, trying to reserve some space on disk, finish uploading parts. Okay, it works. But what is new is these columns, value 1, value 2, value 10. And these columns will contain the values of substitutions. I don't have to use these columns. For example, I can just write something like this, any of message, and it will give me the full message. I will do it like this. So here is a pattern, here is the full message. But with these new columns, value 1, value 2, I can also do some analytics. Like this, here is just an arbitrary value, and we see a lot of different ones for different messages. Or let me do analytics about this one. Selected merge algorithm, horizontal. Which merge algorithms are existing? Horizontal and mark. This will be easy.
What's
So
easy?
what is easy? There are several merge algorithms. One of them is named horizontal.
Okay.
And another is,
I don't know, vertical.
absolutely, it is vertical. Vertical merge algorithm. Do we have any other merge algorithms, or should we engineer new ones? Like horizontal, vertical, what else? Diagonal merge algorithm, inside out merge algorithm. Yeah, that will be interesting. But so far we have only two. Which is used the most on my machine? Horizontal 8,000 times, vertical 53 times. Nice, it works.
Can you choose which ones gets used, or does the query engine choose for you?
The table engine chooses it, but you can influence it by saying, okay, please use vertical merge algorithms for this size of tables.
Oh,
I
I
don't
see.
recommend to change it, but you could. You can do even more advanced analytics. And by the way, pay attention to this syntax highlighting. It is so nice. It even highlights strings and numbers in slightly different colors. And if I will set aliases like this, it will also highlight in slightly different colors. Okay, so what did I do here? I also extracted the first substitution, so merged some number of parts. How many parts was merged in a single operation? I extracted it into the value column, cast it to integer, and also I presented a diagram with logarithmic scale of this number. And we see that most of the time only two parts were merged, but the second most popular is 6 data parts merged at once. The maximum is 14, and among 6 also 7 and 5 are popular. Okay, now what about performance improvements? The first one is named Equivalence Sets for joins. I also explain it like condition push down by transitivity. It works like this. Let's suppose you have a join with several tables. You have join conditions, and also you have a where condition on one of the sides, like left side or right side. Now it will do the following. It will take this condition, propagate it to the join on section, then it will infer that the right column can also be assumed to have this value. It works for inner join and left join. And for the right join, it could propagate these conditions from the right table. And the query will work like if you have two conditions, and then it will push down them. This is so nice, and it can speed up your queries infinite times. Let me show you it on practice, because the difference should be very clear. Okay, so I connected to the server, and I will create several tables. It is already created. I will also insert some data, 150 million columns. Let me do another round, another chance, second chance. What do you think? How long the insert will run? Mark, what do you think? Let's place a bet. How long?
So what is it? 150 million.
Yeah, 150 million.
Okay, and last time it was doing 2.5 million per second. So, but this is some numbers in memory. I guess it should be faster than that, would you say?
I don't know.
Well, let's go for 42 seconds then.
Okay, and how much you want to place on this bet? If it will be like 10 times faster, how much you will lose?
Oh man, I have no confidence.
Okay, no problem.
If I lose, I have to use Postgres for analytics for the rest of the day.
No. Please don't do this.
How many? 7. Nice.
Seconds, so it's pretty nice. Using Postgres for the rest of your life, it will be too much of a punishment. Okay, now let's just join these two tables with 150 million records on this condition and with some condition to be pushed down. And the table, it had a primary key by this identifier. Okay, I cannot resist. Mark, how long it will run on the new version?
Ooh. So wait, what are we doing? 150. Wait, how many was in the other one?
Also 150.
150, 150. Oh man, I don't know. Okay, let's say 5 seconds.
Okay, it's difficult to imagine how did you come up to this
Oh yeah,
5 seconds, but probably it requires some arithmetic like 150 million multiplied by 150 million and then divided by whatever, billions or trillions or whatever. Okay.
0.
0. It was instant. Actually, it took 8 milliseconds. I don't know why. It should took absolute 0, but 5 milliseconds is forgivable. What about the previous version? I have a binary named ClickHouse master. Let me try to run it. Previous master. And on the previous version, it is just slow.
Okay.
It was slower than 5 seconds.
But how come your old one still has the same version? Or what is it? Is the version just gone wrong?
It was built from the master before the release. And actually, the release will happen today.
Okay.
But this previous master version is also like 24.4 pre-release, but from 1 day ago.
Okay, so this is 31 seconds, and the other one was almost 0.
I will not even calculate how big is the difference because it could be up to infinity.
So this is the improvement.
Another improvement. Transformations of outer to inner join. It is pretty easy. If you have an outer join, like outer left join, outer right join, and also you have some condition that makes the query optimizer think and ensure it that the records have to be actually joined. So we will not have nulls or default values. And in that case, it will simply translate to inner join. And inner join will enable more optimizations like condition push down. And it will again give you infinite speed ups. Okay, this is not about join, but about JSON. Don't confuse these two things. It is easy to be confused. Faster JSON parsing. It was already fast. We just made it faster. Let me show you how. So first, I will create a file with 1 million records from this hits table. It already exists. I already did it. Then I will use ClickHouse local. First, let me try with the previous version. I will use ClickHouse local to do analytics straight on JSON. And ClickHouse local is nice for this. By the way, the previous version has this poor syntax highlighting. Okay, let's run this query. 1 million records from JSON uncompressed.
I think you're a very good salesperson for the syntax highlighting.
I like it so much. 6 seconds. Now let's run the latest version, 24.4.
I always imagine you as being someone who doesn't need syntax highlighting. You can just read it all in white text on black background.
I'm not Rob Pike, so I enjoy syntax highlighting. Look how nice it is. It is so nice. It is already slightly faster, 4 seconds. So almost 1.5 times faster. How did we made it? By we, I mean our community, and specifically LGBOUSTC. We just reviewed and merged this feature. It is easy. If we read the JSON and found all the required fields, we can skip the rest of the object quickly by a shortcut path in the code base. And 1.5 times improvement, it is pretty substantial. Okay,
But if you would have had even more fields and you just wanted one, it'll be even faster, right? And
yeah, sure, especially if this field located at the front of the objects.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's clever.
Okay, more optimizations. An optimization for external storages and S3 in particular. It is about keep alive connection pools and proper usage of all endpoints from AWS S3. So when you resolve the address like EU central 1 amazonaws.com, actually s3.eu central 1, etc. It could give you a lot of IP addresses, a lot of different endpoints. And for the best performance, you have to try all of them. Some of them could be degraded. Some of them could return you errors like, please slow down. Please slow down. Your queries are so fast. We don't want your queries from ClickHouse to be fast because we are just AWS S3. We are a decent service, distributed service. We have so much work to do. Okay, but we actually want to load it to the maximum. And for this purpose, we use all of these endpoints. We use a thread pool. We use keep alive. We monitor the number of errors, and we spread the workload correspondingly. Now it is just faster. Okay, now something interesting. The top features, headliner features. Actually, I already told you about one of the top features, better syntax highlighting. But we have something else. The first one is recursive common table expressions. They are from standard SQL. They allows you to run a subquery multiple times in a loop on the same result, on its own result. This syntax exists in Postgres, in many other databases, but it was not in ClickHouse. But now we have it. So how does it look? You specify with and recursive table name as some subquery. And this subquery has to contain at least one query in the union all chain. The first one should be independent, and it is the basis of recursion. And the latter ones could do select recursively from the result. So it will run this query, then it will collect the result and run this, and it will run this again and again, unless the result does not change. So it will run it like infinite times, but it could stop earlier. Let's take a look how it will work. Here we take 1 and then generate records like 1 plus 1, etc. It works. Nothing to show here. It is SQL standard, now it works. But what is more interesting that we adapted all the tests from PostgreSQL simply by copy-pasting. PostgreSQL has a good license. We only have to copy-paste and provide attribution, and that's it. And all the tests from Postgres worked perfectly. And you know what? Actually, ClickHouse has better support for CTE than Postgres. What is specifically better? For example, you can specify multiple queries in union all. You can also reference your original table multiple times. So not just a single time like in this test, but 2 times you can do joins, whatever. It will work. It also does not do materialization like Postgres does. So everything is better. Another thing towards SQL standard is the qualify clause. You know that in the queries you can specify filters like where, having. Some people confuse where and having. But now we also have a qualify. And qualify, it is also a filter. But a filter clause that can use results of window functions like this. Let me show you the difference. Again, a short demo. First, I will try to use it like this. We could imagine that it should work, but it doesn't. Window functions found. It's another error. I have to run the house client. Window function found in where in the query. So it cannot be here. But fixing it is easy. We will just make it into a qualify section. By the way, look how nice syntax highlight is. It just clicks. And the query does not work. Interesting. Why? Maybe because I'm running the old ClickHouse version. That's correct. Let me switch to the new one, and the query will work.
Well, at least we know it doesn't work in the old one. So that was good. Deliberate?
Yeah. So we selected records where the price is greater than 90% percentile of the price of homes sold in UK, in the United Kingdom previous year. Okay.
So on that query, you're doing a window function that doesn't actually exist in the main query, right? Like it only exists in the where.
Yeah, you can do both ways. You can even use a special window clause for defining window functions. I can even try to write it, but I'm not so confident about my knowledge of SQL. So let's skip it. I will leave it.
And is it a SQL compliance thing that it needs to be qualified, not that you can extend the where clause?
Yeah, it is a requirement by the SQL standard.
Okay.
But we don't
That was
have
a question.
we don't have to obey this requirement. Maybe we can just make it work in the where clause, so it will be decided automatically. But we want to do SQL standard first, everything else later.
Okay.
Okay, all of these features are made possible by Analyzer. If you did not miss my previous webinar, 24.3 LTS, you know that Analyzer is a new infrastructure for query analysis, for compatibility, for completeness, consistency, etc. And thanks to this small change, we just enabled Analyzer. We immediately closed 99 bugs that were impossible to close before. Okay, what else? What is not about SQL compatibility? Another new feature is a new disk type, named S3 plain rewritable. It is similar to S3 plain disk or S3 disk. It does not have any metadata on the local file system, but it still allows you to create tables, insert data into tables, so it is rewritable. It has support for all operations, all file system operations, other than hard links. And hard links are needed for just a few features like mutations, alters, partition manipulations. So with this disk type, you can create non-replicated merge tree tables if you don't use alters. And the main use case is to use it for system tables inside ClickHouse Cloud. But regardless of ClickHouse Cloud, it is open source. Maybe you will also find it useful. Okay, what about integrations? The main one is this. What is this? Could you recognize? Mark, you don't have to answer, but maybe we will have answers in the chat.
Yeah, I know it'd be a cheat if I answer this one. Which integration tool is this?
Yeah, you can even see a logo. And
let's see if anybody answered on YouTube.
Just a hint. It allows you to insert from more than 400 data sources.
Fivetran, we've got the answer. Joe wins again. I don't know what you're going to win. You've won twice now.
This is Fivetran. Now we have a private preview destination for Fivetran for ClickHouse Cloud. It is available for Fivetran. You can enable it easily. And 400 data sources, like, I don't know, everything is there, like Google, from Google Sheets to TikTok. You can import from TikTok to ClickHouse, specifically to ClickHouse Cloud, using this integration.
Oh man, we should have done that as the demo.
Yeah, but I don't use TikTok. So I cannot show this demo. You should probably do.
Yeah, I don't have a TikTok. I don't think I've got a TikTok account either. Too old.
Be optimist. It's not too late. Okay, but I will not use it. I will not use TikTok. I don't want this substance. We have also some improvements for DBT connector for Tableau. For example, for Tableau, our official driver now covers 99% of the official conformance test suite. I hope it will be 100% very soon, but the last percent is the hardest. Okay, what about on our blog, on our website? There are a lot of articles. For example, what is on the background? This is my technology demo that I implemented to show the scalability and real-time performance of ClickHouse on a nice visual data. I will not open it for you, just go to this website, adsb.exposed, and you will see it. If you are interested why every company, every AI company uses ClickHouse right now and why you should also use ClickHouse, if you have even a little knowledge about AI, if you are interested in AI, read why LangChain chose ClickHouse, how to train your models with feature form and ClickHouse, or how to train clustering with k-means using just SQL. If you are interested in business-related activities or launching your service in China, read about Alibaba Cloud, which is our partner in the cloud service. They launched this service in GA. If you are interested in observability, read how to save millions of dollars. I would say how not to lose millions of dollars by not using other observability tools and using ClickHouse instead. You can read about the experience of Didi, one of the most popular ride-sharing service, which has enormous amount of logs every day, every second, and a lot of other interesting stuff. So go to our blog, read all these nice articles. Okay, now we have 3 minutes for questions. By the way, I would like to highlight that we have a nice syntax highlighting in ClickHouse client. Now the time for your questions.
Joe asks, what was the cluster load like once a DSB exposed was on the front page of Hacker News?
In the first 8 hours, we scanned 1.5 petabyte of uncompressed data. The service is really computationally intensive, but surprisingly, just the power of a single machine is enough to serve all the traffic, including the traffic from the Hacker News top page. And we created 2 services, one with just a single server and another inside ClickHouse Cloud. And I monitored both of these services during the peak load. And for a single server service, it was keeping up with the load, but with some slowdown. Load average was up to 300. It was the most powerful machine, almost the most powerful machine on AWS, like R7i .metal. But in the cloud service, we are being able to scale the service up and down quickly. So I just pressed a button and scaled it up to 100 of replicas. Not because 100 was needed, but because I want just to test scalability. And it worked fine and did not even, the cloud service did not even blink an eye on this workload. I could scale it to 10 replicas, it would be also enough, or 1,000 of replicas, and it will also work. So it was a nice test for scalability. You are muted currently, Mark.
Sorry, I muted myself. When will there be non-equal expression support in joins?
It will be available very, very soon. I hope in 24.5. And I state it like this because I almost merged a pull request for this release, 24.4, but it was not quite ready. And we still have to finish code review, so probably the next release.
And what about like greater than and less than? Did anybody work on those or not yet?
About what in particular?
Like doing greater than or less than expressions in the join.
Yeah, it's not a big problem. There are several ways to implement it. One way is just to treat it like cross-join. It will be not so fast. Another is to optimize with a merge join algorithm. And I think we will just do both.
Okay, next one. What SQL optimizations are left now that the analyzer is in place?
Actually, it is a very deep area, and don't worry, we will have work to do. We can add optimizations every month, and probably it will be enough for the rest of whatever, the rest of the universe.
Have we got time for some more, Tyler, or is it time to wrap up?
That's up to Alexei's availability.
What do you say? Another one?
About 1 minute more, so.
All right, let's do one more. Stefan says, what do you think of an S3 disk type that uses properly partitioned Parquet on the S3 side and native ClickHouse storage on the local side?
Yeah, it is a nice proposal. The idea is to keep your data on S3 as a data lake. So every time you can read it manually with ClickHouse local, disconnected from the main cluster, or even read it from Presto, Trino. I don't like these tools, but they have less and less use cases, but still, and have all the performance of ClickHouse with local storage. The problem, it is not so easy to do. It is not so easy to maintain the data on S3 in atomic fashion with the main data. There will be complex corner cases. I would say that it is still possible. It might make sense to implement this feature. We just have to take care from different perspectives, from the correctness perspective, and to make it natural, to make the feature naturally fit into ClickHouse design.
Amazing. Mark, thank you so much. Alexei, thank you. For those of you who had questions that we didn't get to, please feel free to join us on clickhouse.com/Slack. Hit up the Slack group, ask the questions there. We'll keep an eye out for them and answer them. Or, feel free to also bring them up in GitHub discussions, whatever is your preferred environment. Thank you immensely for joining us today. As one quick shout out, keep an eye out. We're actually going to have a release week coming up where we talk about some of the ClickHouse Cloud features in greater detail. For those of you who weren't able to join us today and are catching the recording, thank you as well. We will have another one of these. They come up every month, so keep an eye out, invite your friends, prepare your questions in advance, and for those of you who want a thing, hit me up directly and I'll make sure that it gets shipped to you. Thank you so much for the time today, everyone. Be well.
Thank you for listening. See you next time.